Good morning, winner. Take a deep breath. Visualize the mountain of your success and look down at everyone who's ever doubted you. Fuck those losers. Fuck them in their stupid fucking faces.
What can I say?
Well, that seems excessive. Shotgun. Just kidding. I don't have one.
Booksmart is the directorial debut of actress Olivia Wilde and stars Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dever, and they star as these two best friends in high school. Up to this point, they've been the good girls. You know, they've never done drugs, never drank, and they've always strived to be straight A students, and that's what they are. That's where they're stopping at this point. One of them's the class president and also going to be valedictorian. The other one's her salutatorian. So yeah, they're the best of the best in the school. And on this final day, one of them, the valedictorian, makes this discovery that even those who slacked off during their high school days are actually getting to go into good schools like Yale, Harvard, Georgetown, Columbia, things like that. There's even a person who's not going to college but is getting like a six-figure job at Google. Like that good. And this truth makes her come up with the idea that, you know, maybe they need to go to a party that's happening on that night, the night before graduation, the party of one of the most popular jocks in school. Their plan for the night doesn't go according to plan, and it kind of leads them into these random adventures that they had no idea that they were getting into in the first place. I was actually able to see this movie a week early thanks to an early access screening sponsored by Instagram. I had never been to an early access screening before, so it was awesome that I got the opportunity was there. Especially because, there had been a lot of people, especially film pundits and other film critics, who saw this on the festival run. I think it was sometime either late last year or early this year, I don't remember correctly, but ever since then I've wanted to see it. And plus, the first trailer that came out got me excited. It wasn't... I don't know, the trailer was okay, but there was enough there for me to think that, you know, maybe there was something about the concept that made me feel like this was just going to be something fun and entertaining, and that's exactly what I got. So before I get into my thoughts on the film, I do want to throw out my normal disclaimer for those of the uninitiated. The way that I convey my thoughts is through a pro and con list. I personally feel like that's easier for me. And also, it helps me compartmentalize everything good and bad. I do try to keep the sections separate, but sometimes I'll use one or the other to transition off of the other. Like, if I'm in the middle of talking about a pro and a con is kind of tied to it, then I'll go like that, but I usually try to keep them separate. Anyway, there's your disclaimer, and now I want to get into the cons first, because I want to start there so that I can get them out of the way, and you'll see why in a little bit. The biggest issue for me personally with Booksmart is actually in half of its starring duo. While Beanie Feldstein, who had a supporting role as the best friend in Lady Bird 2 years ago, which was a really good performance, gave another awesome performance in this movie. In this one, she plays a more fleshed out but very, very unlikable character. She plays this high and mighty valedictorian that I was mentioning earlier of the school's class of 2019, who's a bit of... No, okay, she's a straight-up control freak. Everything has to go her way. She has to have her best friend go with her to everything, even if she obviously doesn't want to and doesn't feel comfortable enough to actually go along with it. She has to be better than everyone else because she believes that she actually is. And while she's the main character in the sense that her feeling that she studied hard for no reason in the long run actually leads to the plot that's occurring in the first place, I wasn't able to fully become attached to the plot because the catalyst was somebody that I could not find myself liking. And sure, everyone has to start somewhere, and it's good for there to be a character arc and character development where they go from here to there and are basically a changed person in a way, but this, I don't know, I just wish she wasn't so unlikable. It's kind of similar to how I felt with Justice Smith's character in Detective Pikachu. It's like, there's an arc, I see it, I kind of understand where it was going from, but you started off as this dick, and so I'm supposed to be okay with you here? There also seemed to be this kind of consistent thing with the editing in this film, where a scene would happen and, you know, you'd get laugh here, laugh there, laugh here, laugh there, and then something at the end of the scene would be played for laughs again, and it would either be funny or not. It wouldn't really matter in the long run, because either way, we would not get a chance to fully soak in the humor, because then it would just quick cut to another scene entirely and basically overshadow the previous joke made. And this happened with a lot of jokes that actually would have been funny, but it really took away from those moments. I am happy to say that I've said most of my issues with this film. I will get to the last one later, because I feel like it will actually play pretty well into one of my pros. But anyway, now I can sing my praise with this movie, because Booksmart is a comedic treasure. But let's talk about the movie first before I actually get into the comedy specifically. The chemistry and friendship of the main duo is wonderful, and yet flawed, like I think most friendships are. These two awkward no-hopers feel like they've been friends for years, and they play off of each other so well, whether it's reacting to the things around them, or even when, you know, they're just commenting on what the other one is wearing. And this part happens quite a few times in the movie, and it never gets boring because of just how stupidly amazing it is, really. These two are an amazing comedic duo, easily a gender-reversed equation to Jonah Hill and Michael Cera from Superbad, and their friendship in the long run is as moving as it is hilarious. The film subverts expectations in many ways as far as the film's plot goes, but the best subversions, in my opinion, happen with the film's own supporting characters. We get reintroduced to these very familiar tropes from other high school movies, like the spoiled loner, the spaced-out drama-starting chick, the jock stud who's very aloof, the mean-spirited slut, you know, just the list goes on from that point. Instead of having them operate inside of those stereotypes and those stereotypes alone, you know, we're introduced to them like that, but then many of them are given secondary and tertiary scenes and sequences to further evolve and flesh out their characters, you know, further as human beings, which feels true to our world. There are few who are actually true stereotypes in this life. Sure, you know, some focus more on one thing, but hey, you can be a mix of things. You can be a jock who happens to love nerdy stuff to a certain degree. And what's also great about this movie is that this is in a multi-ethnic cast, and they are a mix of sexualities as well, and a gay person's sexuality is actually not used as the butt of a joke in this film, but rather just a further encapsulation of what the world looks like to this day, just like the multi-ethnic cast does. And speaking of side characters, there was one particular highlight as far as a side character, and that's Gigi, who fits into that spaced-out drama student trope. And she's played by Billie Lourd, which surprised me. I wasn't expecting that to be her, and I didn't even recognize her. Billie Lourd, the real-life daughter of Princess Leia. As someone who's only seen her play a very small supporting role in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, I had no idea she had such a commanding presence on screen. She was so kooky and weird every single time that she appeared. I just grew a big smile on my face, and there are many times where she just randomly shows up to places and makes the scene that much better. The story itself does play a bit like Superbad, with these teenagers wanting to get into some trouble and, you know, go to one party or the other at the end of their high school days, just because they were kind of the good guys, good girls in this case. But the devil is in the details of what Amy and Molly, which are the names of the main characters, what Amy and Molly do on that similar journey, and those details lead to the best part of the film, which is the humor. I've mentioned before on my channel that, and this is my opinion, you can disagree with me if you want, but the way that I see a comedy film, you can fuck up everything else in a comedy movie, but if it's funny, it's a win, and Booksmart is definitely a win. There is so much gold pouring out of all the film's pores, whether it's this strange but funny interaction with a pizza delivery guy, a scene involving the two leads watching a video in the back of a Lyft driver's van, of this very interesting scene involving the girls tripping out on drugs. The list goes on, and the film only has a few instances where the jokes fall flat, but of course, the film, I do have to point this out since I am talking about the story. The story isn't perfect. Booksmart is guilty, definitely guilty, of using these convoluted situations in order to tell a story that can wholly represent the experiences of youth. Like when there's an unrequited crush, but, you know, two people are feeling it towards two different people, and those specific objects of their affection happen to, you know, be with one another. It just, that part felt very unlikely in context. And also there's this erratic high of a budding romance that we've all experienced, but this one's stopped because of an embarrassing happenstance. These moments are just things that I feel like we've seen a few too many times, that they've become tropes of their own. But all in all, Booksmart isn't really a movie that demands to be picked apart. It's not some highfalutin, you know, art piece. This is a comedy, pure and straight, and when the comedy is good, then the movie's good in the long run. This is the normal experience that you want whenever you go out to watch a comedy movie. You expect to be entertained, you expect to laugh, and this film is very entertaining thanks to a funny and surprisingly charming story that subverts the expectations of the audience multiple times and just makes you feel like you left with like you got your money's worth. That's how you feel when you left. I recommend this movie to anyone who goes out next weekend and either doesn't want to see just another Disney live-action remake, or you don't really care to see a horror film subversion of the Superman story, or hell, if you just want to do a double or triple movie feature next weekend, I suggest that you make this film a priority in that decision. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to hit that like button. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so that you can keep up to date with everything that's going on the channel. And also, don't forget to go down in the comment section and just keep the conversation going. You know, if you guys have already seen the movie somehow because you went to a festival, tell me, what did you guys think of it? Did you like it as much as everybody else has? Are you one of the few people who didn't like it? Because honestly, I haven't heard anybody say that they didn't like the movie. I'd like to see that down in the comment section. But yeah, I like hearing what you guys think about the movies and topics that I discuss in my videos. But anyway, all that's left to say is farewell until the next video, all of you casual moviegoers and movie fans alike, and keep on being awesome.